So welcome back. So in the previous session, we discussed about the disjunction operator or disjunction connective. And we say that there are two types. So we have what we call inclusive and we have exclusive. So proposition will determine whether the disjunction is implying inclusive or exclusive, depending on the framing of the compound proposition. For instance, if we have tomorrow, I will go swimming or play golf. And then let's have another compound statement. Applicants for this post must be over 25 years or have at least 3 years relevant experience. Now, these two statements are both using the connective word or, but then the interpretation of or in these two compound propositions is not exactly the same. In the first one, when you say tomorrow I will go swimming or play golf, seems to suggest that I will not do both and therefore points to an exclusive interpretation. This one is exclusive. So suggests that tomorrow this person can either go swimming or play golf, but then there is no possibility of doing the same activities on the same day tomorrow. So tomorrow I will go swimming or play golf will suggest disjunction of exclusive in nature. And then when we say applicants for this post must be over 25 years and have at least 3 years relevant experience. The interpretation of this word or is inclusive in the sense that any applicant who satisfies the two conditions will still be eligible for this post, or any applicant who qualifies for any of the two conditions will still actually be considered for the same post. So then this one is using or in inclusive sense, but the first one is using or in exclusive sense. So if you had split this one into atomic statements, I will go swimming, say P, and then play golf as Q, then you'll connect these ones with P. This would be the connective, which is disjunction exclusive. But if for this other one, you call this one P, must be over 25 years and have at least 3 years relevant experience as Q, then these two will be connected by this notation. So you have to be very careful when you're using the word or to see whether the intended purpose of the connective word or is inclusive or exclusive. So next connective on our list is the implication. Or what we call conditional proposition. So we require two propositions. So let P and Q be two propositions. The implication or conditional of P and Q denoted by is a statement if P, then Q. Or this same has the meaning as P implies Q. Or the same means P only if Q. Or the same has the meaning Q if P. Or P is a sufficient for Q. Or you can say Q is necessary condition for P. So all these are same interpretations to define implication of P and Q. Now, so let's have some examples here. If I have example 1, let's consider P Earth is the closest planet to the sun. And Q, 4 plus 6 is greater than 9. We have these two propositions. Then the implication will be Earth will be given by if Earth is the closest planet to the sun, then 4 plus 6 is greater than 9. Or you can say, or same thing can be said as Earth is the closest planet to the sun implies 4 plus 6 is greater than 9. Or you can say 4 plus 6 is greater than 9 if Earth the closest planet to the sun. Or another version of having the same interpretation, you can say Earth is the closest planet to the sun only if 4 plus 6 is greater than 9. So those are different versions of interpreting that statement, that implication statement. Now, to draw truth table, when you are using or when you have implication of conditional proposition, we make use of analogy of promise. So for instance, suppose let's say this is a promise that someone is given. If you score an A in math, then I will buy you a phone. A promise made by her dad to his son. So the dad promises, tells the son that if you score an A in math, then I will buy you a phone. So let's break this compound statement into some subparts. So we can say the first one is you score an A in math, and then Q, I will buy you a phone. So this is how we do the interpretation for this promise analogy. So the interpretation is not breaking the promise, will have true value, and then breaking the promise will have a false. So we then ask ourselves, when is this promise broken? That's the key thing. When is the promise broken? So if the son gets an A and the father buys him a phone, there's no problem with the promise. In fact, that is what was promised. The another scenario is if the son scores an A and the father fails to buy the phone, then there's a problem. Because the key thing was to score an A. Once you have scored an A, then a phone should follow. So if the son gets an A and the father doesn't buy a phone, then the father has broken the promise. But if the son fails to get an A and the father buys him a phone, still there's nothing that has happened to the promise. That is out of good mercy. But if the son doesn't get an A and is not given a phone, then also he has no case to file against his father. So the only way that this promise will be broken is when the son gets an A and father fails to buy the phone. That's the only problem when we say that the promise has been broken, that what was given as the condition is met, and then what was to be rewarded is not given. But unless that one is done, then the promise has not been interfered with. So in this case, the promise is only broken when the son gets an A in math, but the father fails to buy him a phone. Otherwise, nothing is so that's the only scenario. Otherwise, nothing can be said against the father So the only time that the father will be in trouble is when he fails to buy the phone, but the son gets an A that he told him to get. Otherwise, there's no case that can be filed against the father. So then now, so if you are drawing a truth table, so P, Q, and then P implies Q. So always have truth, truth, false, false. So true, false, true, false. So remember P was you score an A in math, and Q was I'll buy you a phone. So this means you scored an A in math, and then you are given a phone. So there's nothing that is happening to the promise. Next, we have you score an A, but you are not given the phone. Now, this is where the problem is. Or this was the condition that get an A and then you are given the phone. So this one you have an A, but you are not given the phone. So the promise has been broken. Here you don't get an A and you are given the phone. So still there's nothing that is happening to the promise. And then this one you fail to get an A and you are not given the phone. So still there's no breakage of the promise. So note that what we are trying to apply here is simply breaking the promise is a key thing here. So breaking the promise is what we are assigning the truth table, truth value of F. Otherwise, other things will be true. So only situations whereby the promise is broken is what we assign a value F. Otherwise, other things are true. So, and the only case when the promise is broken is when what is given as the condition is met, but the reward is not given. So therefore, from this, we know that, we see that the only situation for which the implication is false is when P is true and Q is false. Otherwise, other things are always true. Now, in this case, when we say the implication P implies Q, P is called the hypothesis or premise of the implication or sometimes also called antecedent or hypothesis or premise, while Q is called the conclusion or consequence of the implication. So that is how we go about the discussion on the implication of conditional connective. The key thing is that we are using the analogy of promise, and we get false only when the promise is broken. Otherwise, the rest of the things are true. Thank you.